Welcome back.
It's been a while.
Quite a while.
Too long.
A lot has changed.
Right. We had a baby.
We had a baby. We're still as in love as as ever. So that's the good news for you people. We had a baby. Insurmountable amount of things have happened.
Yeah.
Nonetheless,
Amazing things.
yes, we are grateful.
Grateful.
We are back.
We're back.
And
we will have one episode per month. So that's the consistency.
We're gonna start out with.
Right, exactly.
We're gonna have one episode a month. We'll see what the feedback is. Hopefully get some feedback from you guys. And then we will go from there.
Yeah. And right now we're outside, so any noise you may hear, that's the wonderful beauty of nature.
Yeah.
So
or leaf blowers, depending on if you have neighbors that don't stop.
So today's theme, and I'm excited about this one because I think it's actually the most important aspect of relationships, is the role of communication in love and relationships.
The role of communication. So just to kind of kick us off, communication, as we have mentioned in previous episodes, is one of the biggest keys to the success that we have in our relationship.
Right.
And communication becomes even more imperative when you introduce a baby into the relationship.
Right. Now having 2 children, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Because you need to make sure you still communicate, even though so many things are happening and so many other people need your attention. That's the most important thing, is to make sure that you're still focusing on each other, communicating with your love languages, like we spoke about last episode.
Yeah. With an older kid, it's easier to communicate because they're a little more independent, they have more time. But when a baby comes into the picture, I don't know that we've had a conversation in a week. Let's make sure we're still talking.
Right.
And so, that was something that we learned pretty early on, quickly. Hey, we need to be communicating more than we typically would, because not only are we having to give so much energy to this baby, we also have to give energy to the 10-year-old, and we also have to give energy to our relationship. So communicating that became a really big portion of how we've navigated the last 2 years. So,
yeah,
just to kind of continue on where we left off, communication, whether it be how you're feeling, what your energy level is, something that irritated you, something that made you happy, like any type of communication is so important to hear, especially now.
And I think checking in with one another is really important, especially if you feel the energy of the other person in one way or the other. One love hack that we want to give you that has worked really fantastically for us is check-ins. So energy check-ins. So if one person, let's say, the scale is 100, you need to be over 100.
At 100 or 1 over.
Yeah.
Or over, to be operating at the peak performance for your relationship, right? If I'm at 40% energy, I've only got 40% that I can give to anybody, my partner included, and she's only got 40%, then we're 20% short.
Yeah.
And so being aware that we're both coming in short means that you're aware that things can be a little more touchy than they would typically be.
So you come up with a plan. You're like, okay, so how can we help your energy levels, or what do you need from me to make sure that you get, what you need, because we need to come up with this 100%.
Or have an acceptance or understanding of, hey, we're not at 100%, so we're going to have a little patience and grace with each other.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, it's going to have us, having an argument, but really it's just that we're tired.
Yeah.
Or that we don't have the bandwidth to have this conversation right now. So to your point, getting to 100 is obviously the ultimate goal, and that's where we typically try to go. It's, hey, I'm at 80%. Well, I'm only at 30%. Well, then I got you. I've got you covered, because that puts us at 110. So we're still good. and understanding that that's your role in that moment.
And it's a balance.
Right.
It's a balance, each other trying to help one another during times that you may not necessarily have everything, all the energy that you can give. That other person can give that energy to you, and then when they're feeling down, you can give that energy to them. It's all a balance.
It's also really eye-opening too, because you're going through the motions of life, you're doing your day-to-day thing, and you think everything's great. We're trugging along. Yeah, we're tired. Yeah, we're working at it, but everything's great. But then when you start having these check-ins and you're asking on a regular basis, you may have a week where you or your partner's operating at 50%. And you may not have even realized it had you not been asking yourself, like, where am I at an energy level? So you're communicating with yourself too. This isn't it's also self-fulfilling. It's not only beneficial just to your relationship. So, you know, it was eye-opening to see, hey, I love that we have each other's back when we need to. There were times where I would be tired of work, or I would be burnt out from something, or just need a minute, from the baby. It's just a break, a mental break. And you would always have me covered.
But if we didn't talk about it,
Right.
I would have had no idea. You might have been too stressed.
Right.
That could have caused a fight. If you're not communicating about how you feel, then it's not going to be successful. And we do it like probably every day at some point, and then at least once a week, like a hardcore conversation about how the week went, what we're grateful for.
Yeah.
We kind of break down what could have been better, maybe what we learned from it.
Yeah.
And then that's how we take we take everything like that.
Yeah. And I think it expanded from the initial check-ins that we did. I don't know if you remember, but like early on and throughout the relationship, we'd done these random relational check-ins, like, hey, what do you need in the relationship? Like, is there anything you're missing? What do you like? What do you dislike? We don't do them as frequently now because we do these daily check-ins, so it becomes a lot more clear. You don't have to think about it. It's just kind of coming out as you're talking and communicating. But even if you can't do a daily or you can't do a weekly, do some type of monthly check-in where you're saying, like, hey, what do I need in my relationship? You ask yourself, and then you communicate it with your partner, like, hey, this is our check-in. It gives you both an opportunity to come into it with your guard down, because you're going into a vulnerable space, and you can give really constructive communication and feedback. And maybe your communication is, hey, we love it, everything's amazing, like I got no comments. That's ideal. But hey, maybe it's also, hey, I've been noticing you've been doing a lot of this lately, and I feel like I need to step in and help relieve some of that responsibility for you. Or it's, hey, I'm I'm tired and I need you to do a little more. Like, it's okay because you've agreed to this time. You know that this is a communication you're going to have, and so I really feel like it's a good way to approach it without conflict.
Right. And two, I think we're not all perfect, and sometimes we get past that point and we say something that we didn't mean, or we were just stressed and we were angry and we said things in that moment. So, and then I think at that point, once we've kind of moved like past that point of checking in, we have to understand and learn from what we said, and maybe say something like, I'm sorry I got defensive, or I'm sorry that I said this in a way that made you hurt. And then how can we fix it? How could I have done that better? How can we improve next time so that doesn't even happen? I think it's understanding whatever the mistake may have been, or maybe misinterpretation, because everything's perspective.
Yeah, help me understand your perspective, right? Because there are times where you may not feel like you've done anything that would cause conflict, and so you're almost surprised. So help me understand your perspective.
Yeah.
And that can also really help get you across the finish line of how do we resolve this and move forward,
and how it won't happen again.
right? How do we learn from it?
Yeah.
And build off of it. And that's also, a great thing too, because these become building blocks. You continue to build on the relationship instead of nitpicking at it and tearing it down, which I think so many people get into the habit of doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that
I'm
can build resentment.
right. I'm bored and you're not fulfilling my time.
Mm,
I'm tired of doing the dishes every day. Why do I always have to take care of the kids? Like if you were having these check-ins and communicating and talking, your partner would know how you feel
right.
and you would know how you feel because you may not realize it if you're not having to think about it.
Mm.
And so then resentment builds, and the next thing you know, you and your partner are fighting all the time and you don't know why and you don't know how you got there.
Oh my goodness. That's so true.
And communication is one of those funny things when you talk about new relationships, right? Because everyone's like, oh, I don't want to over communicate and make them scare them off, or
Right.
I like this person so much, I don't want to mess it up. But at the same time, at least from our experience, we were friends and our
Yeah.
communication was so much of our
Transparent.
friendship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, transparency, being truly who we were,
Hmm.
was part of what allowed us to flourish into a relationship from a friendship.
It made it easy.
Made it so easy and seamless because you're not having to hide anything about who you are.
Right.
So, I understand the concern and the fear, but if someone can't handle your communication or handle the way that you're feeling, then
It's
you're
not going to
wasting
be
your time
successful.
anyway. Right.
Yeah, it won't.
The more you communicate and get the answers you need, the quicker you're going to get to what it is that you want.
Yeah. And the more that they're able to understand who you truly are, the easier it's going to be in the long run to be in a relationship that's intimate and
Because that's really what you're doing. You're saying, this is who I am.
yeah.
So this is what I need and I want.
Hmm.
You're not saying like, you're not doing this, right?
Hmm.
Those are two totally different statements.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're not doing this. Or, hey, this is what I'm feeling and I need it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you're comfortable doing? Is that something you feel capable of? And if not, right, and let's say you've been together for a long time and it's not something they can do, well, then where do we meet in the middle? What's our resolution here? Because you don't want it to become a building block for resentment either.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be a path forward, even if it's not always exactly what you want. Compromise is okay.
Right. And all of this refers back to our last podcast episode about the 5 love languages, how important those are, so you can communicate correctly so that person truly understands what you're saying, what your perspective is. One book that we highly recommend that explores the role of communication in love and relationships is The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. This book discusses how individuals express and receive love in different ways, as we talked about. Provides valuable insights into effective communication within romantic relationships and introduces the concept of love languages, which includes, like we talked about, words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So understanding your partner's love language and learning how to communicate effectively can lead to a healthier and more fulfilling relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's all we have for today. Again, that love hack was the energy check-ins. Make sure you're both at least at 100%. If not, come up with a plan to see how you can balance each other out and get things done, get what you need to done. And yeah, we're going to come out once a month with different episodes. Feel free to let us know. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Let us know.
You can find us at From Love's Perspective on all platforms.
Yes, at From Love's Perspective.
Leave a comment on the YouTube.
Right. Let us know, if there are any questions, comments, maybe what you'd like to see in an episode. We love to learn and we love to hear more from you.
Yeah. And until next time, keep those relationships happy, thriving, and we look forward to building a stronger relationship with you.